Hey, what's up everyone? Kevin here. In this video, I want to share with you 5 mistakes to avoid when doing snowboard hikes. Over the last few years, I've had the chance to do snowboard hikes all over the world. Being able to do a hike with your snowboard allows you to get access to some of the best terrain for powder snowboarding, but it also comes with hazards and some severe dangers as well. So I just want to share with you guys some of those mistakes so that you can avoid them yourself. The first mistake, and this is probably the most important thing, is going on a backcountry hike and not having the proper avalanche gear or training. Before you set out on any type of hike, make sure that you've done an avalanche course and you've practiced with your avalanche gear. In the mountains, there are naturally so many different hazards, but especially with snowboarding, there's a lot of avalanche dangers out there. So taking an avalanche course will teach you how to use all your avalanche gear, but most importantly, it'll give you that respect for the mountains and knowledge to know how to avoid those situations. So not taking an avalanche course and having the Avi gear is a huge mistake. So you definitely want to avoid that one and do the right thing ahead of time. The second mistake is not taking some of the essentials with you into the mountains. What I mean by essentials is things like food, water, sunscreen, all those things on the day of your hike that make it more enjoyable, but also just keep you running throughout the day. For me, a huge mistake I made last spring is I was doing a hike at Mount Baker and I only took one small bottle of water up into the mountains with me. And by the third run, I was just absolutely dying of thirst. So when going into the mountains, food and drinks is definitely gonna just make you have a more enjoyable day, and it's gonna allow you to ride that much longer as well. One thing you may not think about is sunscreen, because when you're in the mountains and it's winter, everything is cold, you might not think about the risk of exposure to sun. Bringing sunscreen with you or chapstick will save your skin on the day and allow you to just ride longer days, but also have multiple days because you're not stuck inside with a sunburn. So bringing sunscreen can be huge as well. The third mistake to avoid when going on a hike is forgetting to bring gear or outerwear that can keep you warm or cool on the day. So when you're doing a hike, the temperature can change quite a bit, and it's really important to have those extra layers with you that you can either take off or put on throughout the day. This especially comes into play when you're on the hike itself. Usually while you're hiking, you're much more warmer than when you're snowboarding down the hill. So when you're doing the hike, you probably want to take a bunch of layers off, put them into your backpack. You may even want to have a thin pair of gloves or mitts that you can wear, or no mitts at all, and have the option to put all that stuff away into your pack. Also, having vents on your jacket and pants is going to be really important too, because sometimes if it is snowing, you don't necessarily want to take those things off so that you can stay dry, but you will want to open the vents so that you can stay cool. So having multiple layers and functional outerwear is going to help you to stay warm and dry on the day. The fourth mistake you want to avoid is hiking into terrain that you're unfamiliar with. So with any snowboarding, whether you're inside or outside of the resort, you never want to be venturing off places where you don't know where it leads to. So it's important to do your research ahead of time, either by looking at maps or by going with someone who already knows the way. I feel like if you trust somebody and they can guide you through the area, that's probably one of the safest ways to do it. A big mistake is just blindly following someone else's track. I have had one experience myself where I followed somebody's track that led me to the top of a cliff drop, and it was a cliff that was much too big to drop, and I ended up having to hike up and out of that area. So you never want to follow someone else's tracks. So the best thing to do is either do your research so that you know exactly where you're going, or go with the crew and with somebody that you trust that knows exactly where they're going. The final mistake to avoid is going it alone. A big part of going into the mountains is doing it with a group, because as a group you can keep each other safe, so that if there is an avalanche, you can go and you can help out that person, or if someone gets stuck, you have other people there to come and help you out. Especially if you happen to get injured on the mountain, it's important to have those other people to give you a hand. By going it alone, you're putting yourself into massive danger. Your risk level goes through the roof, and there's just no one else there to give you a hand if you do get into trouble. In the past, I have heard stories of really high-end riders, people who knew the mountain, knew exactly what they were doing with really high skill levels of riding, who got into serious trouble, and some even passed away because they were in a section by themselves. So that's probably the biggest mistake, is going it alone. You always want to travel with a group of people who are experienced with the AV knowledge so that you can keep each other safe. So those are 5 mistakes you want to avoid when doing snowboard hikes. I'll put some links in the description to AV courses. If you have any plans on doing any hikes this season, I highly recommend checking out those AV courses, signing up. It's one of the most fun and interesting things you can do in snowboarding. Also, if you have any questions, hit me up down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Be safe out there snowboarding, and I'll see you in the next video soon.